Chapter 183 to 188. A few days have passed since the kiss, or a week passed. It depends on how you look at it. I'll explain later. First, after the kiss, Makoto baked me some cookies. She did promise to bake me some, and these are probably the best damn cookies I've ever tasted, so I'm thankful. After some more talking while we both stuffed our mouths with cookies, we confirmed our relationship. She's officially my waifu now. I told her I loved her, and she told me she loved me, simple stuff that doesn't need much detail. But I would be a hypocrite if I said I loved her, yet I still kept things from her. And so, I told her everything. My death, my subsequent meeting with the meat bun rob, and wishing to be reincarnated into this world with wishes. Normally, I would have stopped there, but I remember telling her a long time ago when I first summoned her that I would explain one day why I know so much information that should be impossible to come across. Information like who she was, the sisters, and level 6 shift project, and other little tidbits of information. She never asked me how I knew all this after that day when I promised to tell her I would tell her eventually. And so, I wanted to repay her by telling the truth. Rimuru Makoto, I need you to believe everything I say is 100% the truth. She nods. I take a deep breath. Rimuru, we're living in a simulation. She threw a couch at me, so I told her I was joking. I then got serious and told her that this world we're in and her homeworld were written down in books as works of fiction from my homeworld. She took it about as well as you could expect, judging from the second couch she threw at me. But I eventually convinced her that what I'm saying is the truth, and that's why I knew so much. She still didn't take it all that well. Realizing that she's just a work of fiction can make a weak-willed mind crazy. Since it's me that's telling her, she didn't think I was lying. She was very shocked, to say the least, pun not intended. But in the end, I told her my theory that all worlds are connected some way or another, and that I believe all worlds have a story to them that someone from a different world might write down as a story. Rimuru, I mean, for all I know, my homeworld could have a zombie apocalypse in the next few years, or maybe superpowers could get introduced. Who knows, it might even be a story for a crappy romance novel that only a handful of people are involved in, while every other human on Earth would be oblivious. Hearing my explanation calmed her down as it weirdly made sense, and she thankfully accepted it. It also helps that she's widely accepting of foreign concepts, like being summoned to a new world and being told that magic is real. At this point I could say Santa is real and she would kinda believe me. I mean, he's not, but that's beside the point. A/N, what? Santa isn't real. Speaking of promises from a long time ago, I also wanted to take Makoto back to her homeworld if only for a little bit. I've grown strong enough that with Azathoth and my infinite magicules, I can travel the multiverse. Ilya, temporarily turning on her omniscience, tracked Makoto's homeworld down. Once I got the exact location, I teleported and under Azathoth's time control abilities, we, Ilya included, appeared barely a few seconds after Makoto left all those months ago. Immediately after, I wrote some concealment runes on Ilya and myself since we aren't from this world and don't have any identity documents. To which Ilya says LOL hacking skills go brrrr and proceeded to break into Academy City's database and insert citizenship files about us in there. All in under a second. And so, we stayed there for a few days. We later returned back to the Tensura world, but with my time powers barely any time passed, which is why I said a few days passed since the kiss or a week, depending on how you look at it. Anyway, during our time in the Tora world, we got to befriend Makoto's friends, namely Satan Ruko, Ueharu Kazari, and Shirai Kuriko. Needless to say, Kuriko was very disturbed by the closeness between me and Makoto. I feel a bit bad for her, I mean this is technically NTR. And I'm not a fan of NTR. And so, I did the only thing I could do. I lied. I said Makoto and I are only good friends that knew each other a long time ago and I came by to visit. I mean, I could just say the truth, but regardless of my powers. Shirai Kuriko is a scary woman. Makoto showed off Pikachu to them, to which they all fawned over her saying that she's so chubby and cute. Regardless, we all hung out for those few days. They also had to deal with some incident with something called the level upper, but with Makoto, there it was, child's play, honestly. I didn't even have to step in. However, Satan Ruko's story gained a bit of sympathy from me. She came to Academy City in hopes of becoming an Esper, but she was left without any ability and branded a level 0, unable to advance. I remember in the original Railgun anime series, she used the level upper in desperation and fell into a coma as a result. Luckily, she woke up after the level upper incident ended. And so, I stepped in and said, "Hey, I can give you strength if you give me your soul," to which Makoto got a couch from God knows where and threw it at me. But I wasn't lying and decided to just use my runes to awaken her ability and advance her to level 5 just because I thought it would be funny to see those scientists with sticks stuck up their asses scratching their heads on how the fuck this happened. She ended up getting a high level of aerokinesis aka wind manipulation. Seeking to cause more mischief, I also advanced Wiharu and Kuriko into level 5s, Wiharu gaining thermokinesis aka temperature manipulation and Kuriko gaining spatial displacement. The looks on their faces were also very funny. I also want to see the look on Alistair's face when he realizes what I've done and what I can do. And so, Makoto, Ilya, and I had fun hanging around. I also did several more things just because I felt like it. I visited the main protagonist, Toma, and made it so he can toggle his Imagine Breaker, although it'll still activate automatically if he's in danger. I also gave him an infinite meat bun spawner for Index. He almost started worshipping me. Almost. I also visited Accelerator and handed Last Order over to him while also making Last Order immune to any viruses. This means that Accelerator doesn't have to risk becoming something like a cripple to save her. I visited Makoto at her school. With my androgynous looks, it was easy getting a pass by pretending to be a girl. I gained the attention of Shokuha Masaki as a result since I was close to Makoto. I don't know what to think about that. All this happened in those few days before heading back to the Tensura world. Although I promised that we would visit often. I wonder when I'll tell Makoto's friends about the fact that I'm from another world. And now we're back in Avalon. But first, I gotta do some things. It's time for a security overhaul. Right, the plot is pretty much fucked at this point. Furthermore, this is an alternate universe, so I couldn't really count on the plot in the first place. Bryce is the perfect example of why. Rimuru, and so, I decided to revamp Avalon's security. Don't get me wrong, Avalon is plenty secured already. It has some golems wandering around that can wipe out entire battalions of normal humans single-handedly without a scratch. Any more and they might get a scratch though. Just a nick. Furthermore, Avalon's buildings are stable enough to not shake even in the epicenter of a 10.0 earthquake courtesy of Raphael's building designs and my runes. We also have other monsters that wander the streets that the city hired for even more security, and they are also stronger than the average monster. Note that the average monster is already rank C, maybe even rank B courtesy of the high concentration of non-lethal magicules in the air. /N, remember that normally a high concentration of magicules can suffocate weaker monsters and even humans, thus the term non-lethal. And finally, the pride and joy of Avalon, the giant fucking barrier covering the whole city. The barrier has a multitude of effects from air and magicule cleaning, weather control, and most importantly, protection. No, it cannot substitute a fucking condom, that's not what I meant by protection. Rimuru, the barrier, covers the entirety of Avalon and protects it from outside threats such as other hostile monsters and large attacks. It's very strong, being reinforced by my runes. I brag while sitting on a stool in front of a bar with a drink in my hand. Right now, Ilya, Makoto, Catgirl Shizu, Pikachu, Cheyenne, Shuna and I are sitting inside Trainee's new bar, with Trainee herself standing behind the bar wiping already clean glasses. She always wanted a bar at the very top of a skyscraper, and now she has one. All thanks to Geld and the other high orcs and high ogres working in construction day after day. Now, the entirety of Avalon is completed. See, I knew I didn't have to make everything myself even though it could have saved months of time. Pikachu, Pikachu? I nod my head as if I understood a word Pikachu said. I didn't, by the way. Rimuru, yes, it could have easily defended against Pharmus and their otherworlders, but probably not Bryce. I mean, he had, laughs, the powers of a true dragon along with that broken destruction attribute lightning. I mean, that bullshit lightning can break down stuff into their basic molecules. My stuff specifically, which makes it even more bullshit. No one gets to destroy my stuff and walk off scot-free. I swirl the liquid in my glass as I continue to explain. Rimuru, furthermore, I don't think the barrier could go head-to-head against other true dragons or demon lords on the level of Guy or Malene. And who knows if there will be other existences on the same level as them. I mean, given enough time, they can turn the world into a wasteland. So although my barrier can contend with 99% of the world, I want that to be 100%. And with my new, Odin, God of Runes, and Yahweh, God of Creation, ultimate skills, that becomes easy. I put down my drink, write some runes in the air and flick it, causing it to shoot through the ceiling. Closing my eyes, and feeling it hit the barrier, I smile. Rimuru right, done. Pikachu Pika. Rimuru yes, that's all I had to do. Pikachu Pikachu? Rimuru well, I simply wrote an indestructibility rune while creating an indestructibility concept and imbuing it into that rune with a flick, which caused it to fly off and bond with the barrier. Pikachu just stares at me with a deadpan expression. Speaking of which, why is Pikachu the only one talking to me? I look over towards the other girls in the room and realize they're not paying attention to me. Instead, Ilya, Mikoto, Trainee, Shuna, Cheyenne and Shizu were in their own little girlish world talking about stuff. I don't know why. Even though I'm right next to them and I'm boosting my hearing to its limit, I can only hear whispers and unintelligible words. Is this the legendary girls' talk that forbids any male from listening in? A fearsome thing. I'll have to ask Ilya what they're talking about later. A/N, he won't. Anyway, just reinforcing the barrier isn't enough. I mean, it is enough, but what's stopping me from going overkill? Plus it'll look awesome at the end of it. But first, so as to not cause panic, I must notify every citizen in Avalon. And by I mean myself. To be more specific, I mean my clone. Using thought communication, I contact an overworked slime as I take a sip from the drink in my hand. I savor the taste of cola and stand up from my stool, slowly exiting the room and into the elevator. A/N, yes I know, thought communication, was absorbed into Codex, Iliasville. I'm just saying MC is using the thought communication aspect of it. Rimuru hey. Clone Rimuru oh no. Rimuru you should know what I'm thinking about now. Get to it. Clone Rimuru fuck you. Rimuru I'll take that as a yes. How's Karara, by the way? Clone Rimuru she tried escaping, but after she realized that everyone has immunity to her bewilder, unique skill, she just gave up. Right now, she is my official secretary, much to the chagrin of a certain purple-haired Kijin. Boom. An explosion appeared in Trainee's bar that I just left. Clone Rimuru Goddammit Cheyenne. I close the connection while praising Cheyenne in my head. She does marvelous work. Although I do hope everyone else in there is fine. I wonder what happened. The elevator reaches the bottom and the doors open. I continue to walk through the city, waiting for Clone Rimuru to finish his work. Time skip. A few hours later, a message was sent to everyone's phone. Yes, everyone has a phone. It's a necessity in Avalon as everything can be done with it. Created using blueprints Ilya made, Vesta, Kaijin and every other Avalon scientist worked hard on making the best product they could. After that, I just made a duplicator machine, and now literally everyone, whether monster, human, demi-human, etc., has a phone given for free. With the phone, you can do so many things. Communication, internet access, yes we also have internet, and even using it to pay for things. Avalon is a really advanced city. Anyway, a certain message was sent to everyone's phone. It said this. Shit's about to happen, so don't freak out. Countdown, 3 minutes, 47 seconds. The countdown started counting down. I smile and got to work. Well, most of my work consisted of waiting for the countdown to reach 0. 0 minutes, 5 seconds. 0 minutes, 4 seconds. 0 minutes, 3 seconds. 0 minutes, 2 seconds. 0 minutes, 1 second. 0 minutes, 0 seconds. As soon as the timer hit 0, I got to work for real. Standing in the skies high above Avalon, I wave my hands. The ground throughout the entire city trembled slightly. I lower my hands towards the city and hold my fingers open. I then clench my fist and pull my arm back. With a not-so-violent shake, the city was lifted a meter or so, and it continued rising. 2 meters. 5 meters. 15 meters. 50 meters. 200 meters. A few minutes later, there are about a few kilometers between the now floating city and the ground. The barrier is doing its job at keeping the atmospheric pressure inside it the same. Waving my hands again, the giant crater where the city used to be was filled and greenery and grass quickly grew. If anyone looked at this scene from the ground, they would see a giant city over 5,000 square kilometers floating among the clouds. Snap. I snap my fingers. A glowing portal appears next to me, with sparks appearing around its edges. It quickly enlarges, becoming over several hundred kilometers in diameter. Waving my hands forward, the portal quickly eats the city. I can imagine a few people in the city will be panicked, but they have no reason to be. The city and everyone inside it soon find themselves in the same place. I mean, the skies didn't used to look like shattered glass, right? Placing a few anti-gravity runes under the giant landmass to keep it in the skies as I slowly release my hold over it, I smile. This is the overkill I was talking about. A giant floating city in another dimension. I mean, how cool is that? Third-person POV, right after MC left the bar. Meanwhile back in Trainee's bar, Pikachu looks at Trainee, Shuna, Mikoto, Shizu, Cheyenne and Ilya as they glance at the unfinished glass of cola on the bar a few meters away from them before staring at each other with wary looks. Shizu stands up and walks over to it, her tail swaying as she walks. Shizu, well, it's a waste to leave something unfinished. I guess I'll dash. She reaches out towards it, but her intercepted by a certain dryad. Trainee, no, I'm the bar owner. You shouldn't do something like that. I'll drink the rest. Shizu looks at Trainee with squinted eyes. With a kind smile that is not a smile, Shuna walks up and attempts to grab it. Shuna, it is my duty to take care of Rimuru's needs, so dash. Cheyenne, no. That's my job. I'll drink the rest. Cheyenne stands up suddenly, causing her assets to shake. Mikoto, Ilya and Shuna stare at her with squinted eyes. Ilya, no. That's my Onii-chan's drink. I'll finish it. Mikoto, hey. Rimuru is my BB boy. Alright. I'm thirsty. Therefore I should be the one to finish it. Mikoto's cheeks reddened in the middle of her sentence and couldn't finish her sentence, so she changed it. Tsundere, to the end. The 6 girls looked towards each other with guarded stares, each of them gunning to finish Rimuru's unfinished drink. Meanwhile, before any of them could stop her, Pikachu ran up to the drink and gulped everything down in one go. Pikachu *burp*. The 6 girls just stood there petrified. Before long, Cheyenne smiles. Taking out her giant fucking sword from God knows where, she unsheaths it and holds it above her head. Cheyenne, I'm really angry. Pikachu Pika? Boom. Meanwhile, elsewhere. Milim. I feel like I just missed out on something important in Oda. In Freedom Academy, Alice and Chloe also had the exact same thoughts. A few hours after I completed the transfer of Avalon into the mirror dimension, I realized I made a mistake. A big one. Hey! Let us out of here. We can't leave this city. We're trapped. I forgot to add exits to the city. I mean, it's a floating city, not to mention it's in another fucking dimension. Normal people can't leave. No one can leave, not just normal people. Well, I doubt people are actually panicking at this point. Well, I guess it can't be helped. Guess I'm on vacation until this whole thing ends. Oh no. Guess I'm stuck in this wonderful, dreadful city for a while. Guess I'll visit the food stores. Yeah, Avalon really is a city of dreams. So much so that merchants are willing to lose out on massive profits just to stay an extra day here. Well, they don't have infinite money, so I'll still need to let them go. And so, I got to work, again. Snap. I snap my fingers and wipe the sweat off my brows. Rimuru, phew. Hard work. I can feel Ilya's judging stares on my back from wherever she is. What did that snap do? Simple. It wiped out half of all life in the universe, I'm joking. It created portals in many places in the skies around Avalon. Each of those portals leads to a random point in the Jura forest. Inside the city itself, many structures shifted around. There's a lot of free space, so I just shifted some buildings around like some kind of puzzle, and when I finally have a large enough space, a massive building appeared. It's a fucking airport. Specifically, it's an airport for airships. Yes, airships. As if in fantasy airships. As if in the hulls of a boat strapped to a blimp fantasy airship. Why? It's cost nothing, screams fantasy air travel as much as airships. Well, there are also boxes strapped to giant flying creatures like birds, but Avalon is an advanced city. That method is primitive. We don't do that here. It's a pretty big airport too, enough to hold several thousands of people at a time, with each airship being able to hold just over 100. There are also around 50 airships in total, so there's that. I also made sure to design everything with an Avalon feel to it, keeping its design uniform with the rest of the city. If people want to get out of Avalon, they have to go into the airport and pay a fee to board an airship. It's just a few coppers, nothing much. Each airship has a different destination, so they have to choose, depending on where they want to get dropped off. After that, the airship leaves Avalon and flies towards one of the dozens of portals surrounding Avalon. Each portal is over 50 meters wide, so it's more than enough for an airship to fit through. They appear in the skies at the places they wanted before the airship will land, and they will disembark to do their business. To get into Avalon, it's the reverse process, except you still gotta pay first. Basically, a normal airport. You need a visa though, lol. Or rather, you need a form of identity. And the identity is a phone. Everyone in Avalon has one, and it's necessary if you want to do anything. It's free though, and if you've been here before and you already have one, good for you. I also made it so that many small gates to Avalon appear in random places around the world just for fun. Diablo Rimuru-sama. Now there's a voice I haven't heard in a while. Even if it is through thought communication. Rimuru Diablo. It's good to hear from you again. Diablo. Rimuru. Diablo? Diablo ** sniff * it's nothing, Rimuru-sama. Just, you flatter me. I just said it's good to hear from him again. How sensitive is this guy? If I, hypothetically, tell him that he's the best subordinate I have, will he burst into confetti? Anyway, if he's back, that means. Rimuru, you're done with what you set out to do. Diablo, indeed, Rimuru-sama. I have brought you 3 of my colleagues, and their subordinates. My apologies for taking so long. Rimuru, no, it's fine. So, where are you now? Diablo. I don't know. Rimuru, huh? Diablo, well, I have returned to where I thought Avalon was, but I seem to have remembered its position wrong. There's nothing here, dash. Rimuru, oh. No, that's my fault. I moved Avalon while you were gone. Quite recently, in fact. I'll bring you here, give me a second. Diablo, you moved Avalon. Sasuga Rimuru-sama. You were able to move an entire city and replaced it with a fully grown forest. Feeling that he's going to rain compliments down upon me without rest for a whole 30 minutes, I quickly teleported into Clone Rimuru's office. I don't really have a throne room or something like that, so I don't really have a formal place to receive the colleagues Diablo brought. My office is the best thing I have. Finding that it's occupied, I turn to its only occupants. Rimuru, you guys are now on a holiday. Clone Rimuru and Karara pause what they're doing and look at me with WTF faces. I don't bother explaining, and I just open up portals under them as they quickly fall through. I don't know where the portals lead to. They should be fine. Meanwhile, I quickly sit in the chair my clone was just occupying. The desk in front of me is filled with papers that make no sense, so I just start looking through it and appearing busy. In fact, while I'm at it, I add a few stacks of paper on the table that are around a meter or so high filled with paper of random gibberish, just to make it seem like my workload is heavy. Immediately after, portals appear in the ceiling and 4 figures fall through, one of whom I'm very familiar with. Rimuru, glad you could make it back, Diablo. I say without looking up from the paper I'm reading. I'm actually reading this paper because it caught my eye. It's a script of the entire Shrek movie. Without warning, however, 2 of the other figures rush forward toward me. Judging from the magicules gathering in their hands, it seems they weren't fond of my rather forceful method of transportation. It seems suddenly opening a portal under them wasn't the best option I had. Huh. Who knew? It's a simple attack, they charged their fists with magicules and punched at me with them. It would seriously damage if not outright kill someone who hasn't fully evolved into a true demon lord, but it won't even feel like a breeze to me. Not with Azathoth protecting me. But, because it would be troublesome if the attack destroyed the room, I simply opened a portal in front of both of their fists as they thrust them forward. Their fists disappeared into the portal and reappeared out of a portal next to their faces, the fist of the purple-haired one hitting the yellow-haired one, and vice versa. This sent them both stumbling sideways in opposite directions. I look at this with slightly widened eyes. Rimuru. I'm surprised. I thought you both would have been sent flying from each other's attacks, seeing as you're all primordial demons. I guess you were holding back. This caused all 3 of the unnamed demons to look at me with shocked faces. I mean, they were disguising themselves as normal humans, not letting a single shred of their demonic aura leak. It's honestly quite amazing. I doubt even specialized demon hunters would be able to tell the difference. But I have 2 things to deal with. Rimuru, first things first, I'm sorry, you 3. I understand suddenly opening a portal under you was rude, that was my fault. And 2. Diablo, calm down. You know they wouldn't have been able to hurt me. Diablo's killing intent immediately retreated and his face returned to his normal neutral expression. I say neutral, but he's looking at me with a worshipping expression. Yes, this is neutral. At least, when he's around me. I turn to the other 3 primordial demons. One of them is a beautiful girl with short purple hair and a side ponytail. The other looks like a high school delinquent with blonde hair. She's a bit taller than the first. The third, the only one who didn't attack even though it felt like she really wanted to, looks like an alluring lady with long white hair. She is also the tallest. I smile. Rimuru, welcome to Avalon. Now, let's talk. I put down the papers in my hand onto the table and lean back in my rather comfortable chair. I look towards Diablo. Rimuru, so? These are the only ones you chose? Diablo, no, Rimuru-sama, there are more. 7 others were worthy. Only 7? I remember there being many more. Diablo. The rest are just small fry that has no place standing in your presence. Oh, there it is. Diablo, however, they are the subordinates of these 3, so I considered giving them the honor of serving you. Diablo gestures to the other 3 primordial demons as he speaks. I look over each of them quickly, getting a simple scan. They're not as strong as Diablo individually, but they are primordial demons so they aren't far behind, at least, before Diablo got named. Subordinates of these girls should also be plenty strong. Now, I'm all for taking them into my ranks, but where do I put these guys? Oh well, I'll deal with that later. First things first, get more pretty girls, get more subordinates. Rimuru, so? What do you girls think? Wanna serve me? I just decided to ask them outright. The white one steps forward with an Arif smile on her face. White, an honor to meet you, Rimuru-sama. I've heard that Noir highly admires you, which, to be honest, was hard for me to believe at first, but now I can see why. Diablo Blanc, I've told you before. My name is Diablo now, and I shall not accept any other. White Fufufu, of course. Noir was what Diablo was called before I named him if I remember correctly. Blanc must be what the white one is called. Seeking to stop their little argument, I speak up again. Rimuru, I can see why, you said. Why is that? She turns her head towards me, flashing a warming smile. White, my heart started racing the moment I laid eyes on you. I hope that you will allow me and my 200 subordinates to join your ranks. She says while tilting her upper body in a very slight bow. It's small, but it's a sign of submission, however negligible it is. Purple, me too, me too. I, along with my 200 servants, wish to follow Rimuru-sama. The purple-haired one excitedly shoots her hand up with a cheerful smile on her face, any signs of aggression no longer there. Yellow, I don't object either. I, along with my 200 soldiers, pledge my service to Rimuru-sama. The yellow-haired one proudly announces her decision. She also isn't showing any aggression, although her stance is rather arrogant. I don't see anything wrong with it, however. She's similar to Mordred from Fate in that regard. I look at them with a blank expression, but internally, I am heavily confused. I mean, not even a minute ago, 2 of them wanted to cripple me and the third, although she didn't take action, looked like she wanted to break my legs. And now, they are like kittens. The eldest white cat which acts all regal and proper, the youngest purple kitten that can't sit still, and finally the yellow kitten that acts like she's better than her owner. Yet, all of them are looking for attention. White said that her heart started racing the moment she laid eyes on me. She's probably not lying, except it was out of anger at first. Now, it seems that something about me caught her eye. Not just her, but everyone else too. It might have been what caused Diablo to decide to serve me. I doubt it's my physical appearance. I mean, I know I'm attractive, courtesy of Shizu, but that didn't stop Purple and Yellow from wanting to break in my Nico kneecaps. It's most likely something metaphysical. Perhaps it's my power? My strength that awed them? Or maybe it's something like my soul that caught their eyes. I mean, I've seen my soul before. It looks like the sun. It's to be expected since I am a highest tier spirit on par with true dragons. Furthermore, I also have Codex Iliasville, who specializes in the soul. In any case, I turn back to Diablo, who is looking at Yellow with squinted eyes. It seems he didn't like her haughty way of talking to me, but I honestly don't care. Rimuru, so there are 600 others? Diablo, there is also someone I personally found interesting, who also has 100 subordinates, so there are just over 700 in total. My apologies, Rimuru-sama, it seems I am quite lacking. Rimuru, not at all, 700 is enough. Or more like, it's more than enough. What am I going to do with over 700 demons? Diablo, oh, thank you so much. Before that, regarding how I recruited them, please allow me to report in detail, dash. Rimuru, is this going to take a while? Diablo, yes, a long time. However, this is to inform Rimuru-sama of my exploits, dash. Rimuru, alright, give me a second. I stand up from my seat and take a few steps away before snapping my fingers. 2 portals appear in the air. Clone Rimuru and Karara fall through. Karara landed on the rather comfortable chair and Clone Rimuru landed on the floor face first. Clone Rimuru takes a few deep breaths as he slowly lifts his face. Clone Rimuru, I have been falling for 30 minutes. Ooh, it seems the portal didn't lead anywhere special and was just an empty space. My bad. I point towards him while looking towards Diablo. Rimuru, you can tell him your story. Diablo looks a bit disappointed, but I honestly don't want to sit through all that. Judging by the slight snickering from the 3 other demonesses, it seems they don't want to go through that too. I then turn to face said demonesses. Rimuru, I am going to open a portal underneath you, you have been warned. Snap. And just like that, 4 portals appear on the floor and we all fall through. I land on my feet and so do the other 3 as the portals close above us. I would normally teleport directly if I need to go somewhere, but I find it more amusing if I use portals if I'm with someone else. The 3 girls look around, taking in the surroundings. To put it simply, we're in a big fucking lab. It's dark, there are a ton of those pods you would find in manga or anime holding living experiments in some mysterious liquids. All of this is under my house. Because why not have a secret underground evil lab directly under your house? It's very deep underground though, and I doubt I'll ever use this place again. I mean, I literally made it not even 5 minutes ago. It's a really big place and the only source of lights are coming from those pods. There are over 700 of those pods and each pod is holding a humanoid skeleton. To be specific, these are all shells that the demons are going to use. I mean, demons don't have physical bodies so they can't stay in the physical reality for prolonged periods of time. These bodies will serve as an anchor. The demons will inhabit the skeleton and the flesh will grow around it according to the demon's preferences. Each skeleton looks like they're made out of metal, because they are. Every one of them is hard as fuck metal. At the very forefront, there are 3 special skeletons. These skeletons are also made out of hard as fuck metal, but they have runes inscribed into them. These runes have a variety of effects, from resistances to regeneration, but it's all supportive in nature. The girls stare at the skeletons in awe and thinly veiled excitement. I mean, each body is radiating power, the foremost 3 especially so. They must be really happy. Rimuru, well? What are you waiting for, an invitation? Go. And so, I gained an army of over 700 overpowered demons. I want to see Guy Crimson's face when he sees what I did. But even so, Diablo's body is still stronger. It seems the sacrifice Shizu made to summon him was indeed godly. R.I.P. Makoto's pantsu. Standing in front of me is an army of demons, over 700 to be exact. Standing at the forefront are the purple, yellow, and white primordial demons, without any discrepancies to their original forms. Like, I know demons can make clothes out of magicules, but it's still a little weird. It's also a bit unfortunate that I was unable to sneak a peek at their goods. I'll have to ask Makoto to show me hers later. In any case, the physical appearances of the demons are really diverse. They are all humanoid, with the primordials being the most human-like, but every other lower-ranking demon has some other feature to them like horns, a tail, weird ears, and so on. The weaker they are, the less human-like their forms take. Although they're all very strong, so the most an individual has are horns, a tail, and very sharp fingernails. All their bodies formed at around the same time, so they all exited their pods at the same time as well, by breaking the fucking glass. Seriously, there's a button inside the pods that open them. You didn't have to break them. There's also a big fucking arrow pointing towards it. I wryly smile as I look at the glass shards all over the floor. Rimuru, right, I'm gonna name you guys now. All of you. As expected, this causes the demons to show astonishment. Purple, yellow, and white don't say anything and just look at me with a weird look. I wave my hands dismissively. Rimuru, yeah, I know that look. Too many magicules. Naming is a serious affair and shouldn't be done all willy-nilly, it's dangerous. I know, I heard it all before. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. I actually don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I gave demons overpowered bodies and now I'm naming them. I'm probably going to unleash a calamity upon the world. Sounds fun. Rimuru right, from left to right, you are Ultima, Carrera, and Testarossa. I point towards purple, yellow, and white respectively. Yes, these are the exact same names from canon. I just don't see any reason to not give them the same names. It's just a recipe for confusion among the readers if I don't. Testarossa, Ultima, and Carrera each have 2 attendants and 200 subordinates/soldiers under them, while Diablo brought an extra guy along who also has 100 under him. And I forgot their names. Rimuru, dear Lord, help me. I suddenly receive a list of just over 700 names, with the top 7 being the most familiar. Rimuru, thank you Lord. I see an image of Jesus fading in my mind and I got to work. Rimuru, this is going to take a while. Time skip. Thank God a mysterious force just did a time skip. I did not want to go through naming all of them consciously. I am now standing in the middle of a large open space in Avalon with all the demons in front of me. Every citizen of Avalon that passes by wants to scream about something to do with a demon invasion, but then they see me and just walk away with an oh nevermind expression. Carrera, Ultima, and Testarossa are looking at me as if I have a second head, wondering how in the high heavens did I name 3 primordials and 700 archdemons. Diablo just chuckles to himself as he revels in the shocked and odd expressions of his colleagues. I just shrug. Now, the question is, what do I do with these guys? Ultima, Carrera, and Testarossa, to be exact. I could do what Rimuru did in the original series, if not for one problem. I forgot what OG Rimuru did. Or rather, I forgot the jobs he gave them. I guess I can only call for help again. Rimuru, dear Lord, help me. 3 jobs pop into my head. Rimuru, thank you Lord. Rimuru right, there are 3 jobs I want you guys to take. There's a military attaché position, a prosecutor, and a judge. Obviously, they will have their own fancy official names, but that's just the basics of what you'll be doing. Your subordinates will stay with you. If you have any questions, please direct them towards the proper personnel. Ultima raises her hand. Ultima, and who is this personnel? Rimuru, my clone. I feel a sense of depression from the direction of my office for some reason. Odd. Rimuru, well, that's all. I'm going now. Without wanting to deal with any of this anymore, I teleport away. Standing on top of a random skyscraper, overlooking the city like Batman, I sip on my cup of coffee while nibbling on a meat bun. Rimuru *sip *the winds, they are calling me. Cringe. I think I heard something, but it must have been the wind. I take another slow bite from my meat bun. Hinata, Rimuru. Now there's a voice I haven't heard in a couple of weeks. Rimuru, Hinata, good to hear from you. Hinata, and you as well. I take it you dealt with whatever problem was plaguing your city? Rimuru, yup. How did you know? Hinata, well, my information sources are telling me that the Pharma's army entered the Jura forest, but they just disappeared. Rimuru, huh. Weird. Hinata. Rimuru, sip. Hinata. Please tell me you did not wipe out their entire army. Rimuru. Perhaps. Hinata, Rimuru. Rimuru, oh come on. What was I supposed to do? Make them surrender. Hinata, yes. Rimuru, oh, well what's done is done. Hinata, do you realize what kind of repercussions this will have? The entire world will fear you and view you as some kind of evil demon lord. This will not go well for either you or the church. Rimuru, then what we have to do is simple. Hinata, what? I can feel the exasperation in her voice. Rimuru, we tell the world it's some kind of military exercise gone wrong. That's the normal crap politicians always pull to hide some accident, right? Hinata. An entire army of 20,000 soldiers disappeared because of a military training exercise gone wrong? Rimuru. Okay, that sounded a lot better in my head. Hinata. Rimuru. I'm getting I want to throw something vibes from you. Hinata, and whose fault is that? I wince from the sudden burst of volume in my head. Rimuru, alright, relax. I'll think up of something. Hinata ***, you'd better. Rimuru. Oh, and Shizu recovered her memories. Hinata, ho? That's good. Rimuru plus she's a catgirl now. Hinata, I'm coming to Avalon. The sheer intensity in her words before she cut off the connection was a promise of pain if I did not bring her here quickly. I don't want to test that, regardless of my defenses. She might end up roasting my insecurities instead. Ain't got no defense against emotional damage. Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned the fact that Shizu is a catgirl now. To be fair, if I were in Hinata's position, I would also want to see my catgirl teacher as soon as possible. And the fastest way to get here would be through teleportation. And from her experience with my portals, I would say I'm the best person she knows in that regard. And so, as I'm not one to keep a lady waiting, I open a portal and stick my hand inside. I don't feel anything, so I stick my arm deeper into the portal up to my elbow and continue fumbling around. Still not finding anything, I stick my arm into the portal up to my shoulder while wildly waving my arm around on the other side. Finally, I touch something. A familiar fabric. I grab onto it and pull my arm out of the portal. The portal expands, and a familiar female saint was pulled out by the collar of her cloak. Shing. Not even blinking, I hold my other arm out and catch the arm Hinata just severed before reattaching it. Hinata, don't do that. Hinata says as she resheathes her rapier. I just shrug. How did she bypass my defenses anyway? Hinata looks around, taking in the scenery, her hair blowing calmly in the wind. Rimuru, welcome to Avalon. A beautiful city, isn't it? Hinata, indeed it is, but Rimuru. Rimuru, Hinata, why are we on top of a skyscraper? It was then I realized that I'm still standing on the top of a skyscraper and this probably wasn't the best place to teleport Hinata. Rimuru. Oops. Well, I just teleported both of us down onto the streets anyway. Hinata looks a bit uncomfortable with all the high-ranking monsters around her, but I can tell she's trying to get used to it. Times are changing, not all monsters are evil and Hinata is trying to accept that. Good, I would hate to brainwash her. Rimuru, so what did you tell your superiors? Hinata. Rimuru. You did tell someone you were coming here, right? Hinata. It might have slipped my mind. Oh well, not my problem. No, wait. What if Luminous thinks Hinata got abducted and sends an army to Avalon? Well, I doubt they can even find Avalon if I don't want that, laughs in Mirror Dimension, but the Holy Church sending an army towards me is not good for public image. So I open a portal and throw in a piece of paper. It's a letter. Written on it are the words, I'm stealing your saint for a bit. I'll return her later. Sincerely, Rimuru. Rimuru, all done. I feel like Hinata has this strong urge to roll her eyes, but it's her fault in the first place so she doesn't. Quickly scanning Avalon, I easily find Shizu. Snapping my fingers, Hinata and I teleport over to her location. Well, I teleport. Hinata just drops through a portal that opened under her. LOL. We reappear in another section of Avalon, and as expected, Shizu is there along with Mikoto. Surprisingly, Ilya isn't with them. I wonder where she went. I also happen to see a few familiar faces. I smile as I walk forward. Rimuru, Elin, Cable, Jido. Yes, it's the Three Stooges. Cable, oh, it's Sir Rimuru. Jido, it's good to see you again. Elin, Rimuru-san. Elin excitedly waves towards me, causing Shizu and Mikoto to take notice of us too. Mikoto's eyes widen as she smiles, taking a few steps towards me while opening her arms. I just wryly smile before jumping forwards and turning into my slime form, landing directly into Mikoto's arms. I see Hinata and Shizu squint their eyes at me. Don't judge me. Mikoto has been looking for physical contact with me a lot more ever since we confirmed our relationship, but she's still too embarrassed to hug me in public while I'm in my human form. Thus, I turned into my slime form. Shizu first saw me, but before she could say anything, she noticed my companion. Hinata hasn't seen Shizue in years, furthermore, Shizu looks younger than what she remembers. Even so, Hinata quickly recognized her. And they just stare at each other. They both look happy to see each other, although it's hard to tell with Hinata, but it seems they don't really know what to say. Shizu. It's been over 10 years. Hinata. 11 years, 3 months and 15 days, to be exact. Yup. Really awkward. Even I, a person with speech minus 100, can tell that answer was one of the worst. Even a simple yeah would be better. Mikoto's lips are twitching. And judging by the scrunched up face Hinata has, it seems she's also realizing that. Hinata, desperately looking for something to talk about, notices a certain familiar item. Hinata, your mask. Shizu, Ah, the anti-magic mask. Yes, Rimuru gave it back to me a while ago. Shizu says as she touches the white patterned mask hanging on the side of her head. I added a resize function under her request, so now it's only about half the size of her head. Now she wears it on the side of her head as an accessory, hanging off one of her cat ears. Hinata. Shizu. No one says anything. In the end, Hinata looks over towards me. I think she wants help. I'm sorry, but you're on your own. I turn to Elin and her group. Rimuru, how is Guildmaster Fuse, by the way? I haven't seen him since I visited Blumond on my way to Ramorous Labyrinth. Elin, oh. He's here actually. Rimuru, oh, well that's surprising. No, wait, how are they here? It hasn't even been a few hours since I set up the airport, how did they get into Avalon? Ignoring Hinata's glare, I turn to ask one of the only people who can sate my curiosity. Rimuru Ilya. Mikoto Ilya isn't here. Oh right. Rimuru then, so I. A shadow appears behind me. So you called, Rimuru-sama? Rimuru, when did these guys get here? I say while pointing towards Cable and gang. So they entered Avalon yesterday. It seemed like they had something to discuss with you, Rimuru-sama, but put it off in favor of enjoying the city. Jaido, we're right here though, you could have just asked us. Aramiro, I see, thank you, So call me whenever you need me, Rimuru-sama. After saying that, he slips into his own shadow and disappears. What a smooth guy. Although it seems like I haven't been talking to him much, I call on So quite often and simply ask him random questions, mostly to do with the outside world. For example, the situation in Farmus. Obviously, it isn't looking good since the king and some of the higher officials have disappeared along with the majority of their army. Not only that, there were many noble scions enlisted in the army, looking for easy war credit. You know, since they thought they could steamroll over Avalon. In short, Farmus is in turmoil. I have a feeling that's what Fuse came to talk about as well. I don't really care about that country anyways. Meanwhile, Hinata and Shizu continue having a stare-off, wondering what to say to fix their weird relationship. I feel Mikoto start stroking my body. I look up and take notice of her expression. Sigh. I'm going to have to fix this, aren't I? Name, Rimuru. Race, Origin Slime. Protection, Crest of Space. Title, Highest Tier Spirit, Leader of the Monsters, Oniai-chan, King of Avalon, Master of Headpats, Procrastinator King, The Nutcracker, Socially Awkward Cringe Slightly Chuyuni Slime, True Dragon Slayer, Sensei, World's Strongest, Overpowered to a Stupid Degree, Mikoto's Equal. Codex, Iliasville. Ultimate Skills, Yahweh, God of Creation, Odin, God of Runes, Azathoth, God of Void, Alternative. Equipment, Yamato, Genesis.
If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kaioshin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my Patreon. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Nicholas Berenger, Ben Phillips, Yamatancho, Taco TSK, Yuki, Jose Torres. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be here until next time.